Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Good Morning Tom, and today I'm going to be talking about poetry. I'm going to be talking about how to start reading poetry in case you're interested. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel. That would be great. It would be great to have you in the club. Thanks for that. Let's just start, okay? I've heard so many times, you read poetry, I did not expect that. Isn't it difficult? I don't understand poetry, it's not for me. Well, let me start with saying that you can read poetry. Of course you can read poetry. There are so many poets. I'm sure there is something for everyone. And I'm sure once you start and you have a poet that you like, you will get into poetry more. So how to do that, I will tell you. So a lot of people tell me, well, I did not expect that you read poetry. I'm like, why not? You don't have to wear a suit to wear poetry. You don't have to dress up fancy to read poetry. I'm just a normal guy, but I love reading poetry. It has nothing to do with that. I just love making a cup of coffee and reading some poetry to start the day with or to end the day with. And I don't have to wear a suit, neither do you. So you might want to start with poetry, but you have no idea where to start. I can suggest that you start with a collection of poetry. There are many poetry collections that have a wide range of poets. I'll show you some. You have like these collections, and this one is called A Poem for Every Night of the Year, and it's a collection of 365 poems from different poets. And you might find some that you like and that you want to read more of. So that's a great book to start reading poetry and to find out which ones you like. And there are many of those collections. I have one here. This is a love poem collection. It's selected by Laura Barber and it's full of great poets. And you might not like all of them, but who cares? You know, I'm sure there are some that you will love. So that is the easiest way. And if you start reading poetry, make sure that you read slowly, that you read out loud. That's very important because of the sound of the words, and that you don't want to read too fast. Just take your time and really think about what the words tell you. You know, just really read the words. You don't have to read 20 poems. You can also just start with reading one poem and just really take your time for that. And there are many great poems that aren't that difficult. I have two suggestions for you. Let me just start with reading a few lines from a poem called A Coat from Jeats. I made my song a coat covered with embroideries out of old mythologies. See how important it is to read that out loud? It sounds, you feel the sound of the words. And it isn't that difficult. This is a poem called Oh, Do Not Love Too Long. Sweetheart, do not love too long. I loved long and grew to be out of fashion like an old song. All through the years of our youth, neither could have known their own thought from the others. We were so much at one. But oh, in a minute she changed. Oh, do not love too long, or you will grow out of fashion like an old song. You see, that isn't that difficult. It isn't that difficult to understand what he's talking about. Another great poet is Philip Larkin. Very accessible. He's quite modern. One of his most famous poems is this one. And I'll just read you the first few lines. And if you like it, you have to look it up, okay? So this one is called This Be the Verse. They fuck you up, your mom and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults they had and add some extra just for you. If you want to know how that continues, look that one up. It's called Philip Larkin, This Be the Verse, all right? Another way to get into poetry is to simply buy a poetry diary. There are great poetry diaries and you can just read one poem a week. You know, you have a week to think about the poem, So when you start reading poetry, a few things are important. You might want to get yourself a collection of poetry. You just start reading. You may have to read the poems a couple of times. It's important to keep in mind that it doesn't matter if you don't know the meaning. It's not a riddle. Sometimes it can just be about the images. Other times it can just be about the words. Other times it can be a feeling. whatever. So don't really worry too much that you may not get the poem. You know, sometimes it's like looking at a picture. I just look at a picture and I don't know much about it, but it can be a beautiful picture, right? All right. So that's it for now. I have many more things to tell you about poetry, but we may do that in another video. If you like this video, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. It will be great to have you guys on board and we can talk about poetry or we can talk about vinyl records. Feel free to shoot me a message. I would love that. Anyway, for now, this is it. And hope you have a lovely day or night and hope to see you in another video. Bye-bye.